necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Anthony Hartwig alongside Richie Giuliano. We got a good show for you planned today. We have Brian Tolnar coming on at 1, and with him, we're going to be joined by Maddie Zines from United Golf, who has put together an impressive 2022 when you put together her summer and fall accolades. We'll go over that when we have her on with Brian, but it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be nice to have another golfer on. We had some good questions the last time when we had the golfer on, and it's going to be fun, getting to explore some new sports. And, like we were talking about pregame, we've got a big event coming up on Saturday for you. Our first ever cross-country meet on YSN, kind of groundbreaking, where we're actually going to have announcers and multiple tents set up throughout the, I guess you call it course or track. I mean, whatever the terminology would be for that. I'm still going to have to brush up on that and get ready before, because I don't think many of us are familiar with that.
It's the Spartan Invitational on Saturday, right?
Yep, Spartan Invitational. It's like the 10th largest invitational in like the country for high school cross country. So there's going to be like thousands and thousands of people there. It's going to be a neat event for sure.
You're going to be there. DJ's going to be there. Quinn will be there. Donnie Riccatelli will be there as well. So we're sitting down a whole crew, and we're going to have a lot of fun on the Saturday morning for cross country, and that's going to come right after a long football night. So don't ever say that YSN people don't put in the time, because we do.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night for sure. Friday nights are always exhausting because, you put so much effort into Friday night. Like, I've already watched the film for Cheney when they played Marlington, trying to get my boards down and seeing who their starters are. And, now that you do that, you kind of talk to some of the coaches. I'm talking to Pav and some players tonight. Not sure which players are going to come yet, but still waiting on that word from Mike Pav. But we'll have that for you hopefully posted by tonight or early tomorrow with the 3 player profiles and the one coach's corner with Pav. But, just prepping for that is just a monster, right? Because you put so much into prepping for football, and then you do it, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, I really don't feel like doing much of anything right now. That just sucks the life out of you.
I was last night, it was a long night in Canfield because there was a freshman game, JV game, and then varsity. So, it didn't start at JV did not start at 5:30. Varsity did not start at 7. So we just pushed back a little bit. And everyone knew Fitch Canfield was going to be a competitive match. It went 4 sets. Canfield fell to Fitch in 4. Jocelyn Jordan had 25 kills on her birthday.
Wow. Yeah, I saw she had 20 after 3, and I'm like,
right.
Wow, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, Canfield's defense is good too. They were able to defend Pallone, Littell pretty well. I mean, Littell did really good against Canfield, but like they've defended some really good hitters this year, and I was kind of surprised with the numbers that Jocelyn Jordan was able to put up. And it's going to be a big match, like you said, when they pull out the visiting bleachers. That's the first time all year they pulled out those bleachers.
And I was told that heading into that, there was an email sent to like parents that said that the home bleachers were going to be closed. I think they had a problem getting them open, like back early in the school day. So I think Canfield actually expected the visiting bleachers to be the only ones open. That might have been why those were open. And then all of a sudden they got whatever the problem was fixed with the home bleachers fixed because they were out too. Gotcha. And then they're like, hey, let's leave them both out.
I don't know if you'd be able to put everybody on the home side.
You got to separate those fans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's been a couple of matches this year that have been highly contested, and it gets a little
Gets
chippy into
chippy.
him, but it's all for good fun.
But Richie, what makes Jocelyn Jordan so hard to defend? And to your credit, Canfield's been defending really good hitters all season, but Jocelyn Jordan is just someone that they can set whenever they want, wherever she is. If they're out of system, in system, doesn't really matter. She can really get a good swing on the ball from anywhere on the floor, which is hard to kind of prepare for. It's hard to adjust to. She had a lot of back row swings, some out of system swings that you didn't expect her to even get a good swing off that she did. It makes her hard to defend.
Yeah, and Anthony Romo and myself did a Poland versus Boardman game at a conference game on Monday night, and that was kind of the issue for both teams. They weren't able to find that one hitter who was able to put the ball away. And when you got a great list of big dogs of the valley coming up for you, and the majority of them are outside hitters and middle blockers, so those hitters that are on this list are the ones that are able to put balls away. And that's something that some teams kind of struggle with. They don't have that one dominant hitter that they could go to, whether it would be in the back row out of system or even with a good set outside that probably 80% of the time, if you get them a good set, they're going to put the ball on the hardwood.
Richie was one of the first times I've ever interviewed someone from both teams after the game, winning and losing, because we had a moment for Canfield. We had a milestone moment. Riley Kincaid came in just 6 assists away from 1,000. She got it early in the second set, and the gym went bonkers. There was a great student section there. In Canfield, that was actually the one set that they did win. They took the momentum off of that moment and won 25-20. It was a great atmosphere, and I showed you the picture. They were so excited they forgot the extra zero.
That's funny.
They had one person with a 1, one person with a 0. They had 2 zeros instead of 3, so it looked like 100 assists instead of 1,000. But hey, you get excited in the moment. That's definitely not the worst thing that's ever happened in the student section, holding up numbers and letters.
Well, Riley Kincaid was due for that because, she's kind of been flirting with that 1,000 for the last week, and they really prepped her for this moment because they did not want her to get it against an opponent last week. So they sat her out.
They wanted it at home. They wanted it at home.
And they had the opportunity to get it at home in one match, but
right.
It was I'm not going to name the team, but they decided to sit her out the last 2 sets so that she could get it against Austintown Fitch. So a special moment for her and her team. I know she's worked hard. Like I said in our player profile we've had, I'm neighbors with her. I always see her outside. She was always rallying with her sister and Sydney, who went to Ohio State and played volleyball at Canfield. So, she spent a lot of time in the off season working hard, and I'm really happy that she was able to get that accomplishment last night.
Richie, that's 2 straight years where Canfield has had a milestone moment at home against Fitch, which is just, it's one of those, weird, doesn't really mean too much coincident stats, but it's just funny how that works. Because last year it was Abby Householder. They got her 1,000th career kill at home against Fitch. And now Fitch comes to town this time, not as much on the line, because last year that was the second matchup, and it was literally the AAC championship on the line in that matchup, and Fitch was able to win that one in 5 last year. This time, Canfield still has a second matchup with Fitch on the horizon as they'll go to Austintown later in the season.
Yeah, that's got to be deflating for Fitch, because when you have such a big moment, you stall all the progress that Fitch has in that second set, and it's almost like we take this time out because you got to get the pictures, you got to get the celebration. It takes 5-10 minutes. I've seen a couple of 1,000-point scores, one for Howland, Pompelia, a couple others. And, after that moment, it's almost like, okay, I mean, should we just end this set or should we actually play?
It's awkward. It's like, let's get back to volleyball.
I know, it's almost like we don't want to lose this set now because we did all this celebrating. And if we go out there and drop this set, it's just awkward.
You go to the story and you watch Jocelyn's post-game interview. I asked her about that, what it's like being on the other side of a milestone moment. And she said it. She's like, it gives that other team just this extra energy that's hard to combat. And she thinks that's one of the big reasons they lost the second set, because Canfield came out of that timeout with so much energy. It was hard to match it after a stoppage of play.
For sure. And you know what? I thought Canfield, once they won that second set, they were going to have a chance. But, Austintown Fitch laid their foot down, and they're a really good volleyball team. And, everybody was looking forward to this match and kind of see where both teams are at. And I think Fitz really proved that they got the offensive juggernaut that, was hyped up coming into that match last night.
They do, and one of the things that I was really impressed with when you look at Fitch, one of the question marks coming into the season, who was on a set for them, right? Because they lose a really good setter last year as a senior year. She was a junior the year before when they lost Emma Bartlett, so you kind of understood they had a senior coming right after her. But this time they come out, and I had no idea who their setter was going to be coming into the season. And then Riley Simons comes in as a freshman and just says, I'm the setter. I'm going to run this offense. She's already broken the record for most assists in a game earlier this season. She had 45 assists in last night's win. She is just doing an incredible job. Her and Kylie Folkwine, both really impressive freshmen, leading the charge for this Fitch team.
That's huge. I mean, when you have a freshman that could set it up and when you got two dangerous hitters on both sides of the pin, I think that's big for Fitch, especially because if without your setter, you're not going to win as many matches as you want to because you're out of system. And, I kind of saw that on Monday night going back to that Boardman-Poland match where, the setters kind of struggle a little bit in that match. And you could really tell where some hitters were getting a little bit frustrated because on in-rhythm attacks, they're fading away from the net instead of going right at it. So, it could be frustrating for a hitter. And, that's one of the key parts of volleyball is to have a good setter.
Oh, yeah. We always say it. It's like your quarterback. It's like your point guard. It's the one that, lets that offense run. Obviously, you need a good pass first, but then you need someone that knows where to put the ball, what hitters like it where. Jocelyn Jordan hits a different ball than, Kylie Folkwine does. And they both need set differently. You have to have a setter that understands that and puts the ball where it needs to go to give each hitter their best chance of success.
And I don't think a lot of people realize this, but there's multiple facets of a volleyball game, right? I mean, You can't just be good at hitting because without a good setter and without a good pass, you don't get a good hit.
Right.
A lot of people look at volleyball from the outside and say, oh, you just put it up there and let them hit it. Like, no, that's not how it goes at all. Like, you have to have a good receive, a good pass, and a great set because without that, you're not going to be able to get as many clean attacks as you would want. And I think a lot of people are kind of confused about that part of volleyball when it comes to serve receive. That's always the biggest question. Like, what is a serve receive?
It's an on-target pass on a serve.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of coaches, when I ask them, like, what's the stat you look for most in your team? They don't say kills. They don't say assists. They don't say digs. They just say our serve receive percentage is the most important thing to me. And that's what gets you in or out of system is the first pass on the serve. And that's what the server's goal is too. Get teams out of system. Aces are gravy, right? That's what I always say. Aces are gravy. But if you do your job and get the team out of system, then that's a good serve.
Yep. I think it's as good as an ace at some point.
Sometimes, like, I feel bad because it's like, well, it's an ace, but they barely got a second touch. So you don't get the ace, and you got the point. It's a hard stat to get because people don't realize, like, if that second touch happens, even if it's a terrible second touch, ace is gone.
The ace is gone. Yeah.
Same with a kill. Same with a kill. You smash it and a girl puts it up and another girl comes and just barely gets a hand on it. Kill's gone. You get the point. But the kill, statistically, kill's gone.
Yep. Well, that's kind of up for debate. I think a lot of, schools end up giving kills.
I know that because what I like now is that a lot of volleyball teams are using that huddle assist now, which will score the game afterwards. Huddle knows. Huddle is a machine. It doesn't have that human objectivity or subjectivity, I should say, to say that's a kill, even though someone got a hand on it. But that's why you'll see some of the huddle assist stats come in a little bit different than the stats you get after the game because usually JVs or an assistant coach are keeping the stats and they might be a little bit lenient and be like, well, that was a kill.
The one that always gets me is off the touch and then a player from the back row is diving and, they might get a hand on it.
Right.
And I think that should be a kill.
I think it is. I think because the off the touch doesn't count as a touch because you can still get 3 touches after it goes off the block. So I think it actually would be a kill if it goes off the block and then let's say the libero comes and tries to get a dig on it and it shanks to the crowd. I would count that as a kill.
I would too. I think it has to be. Like I've seen a lot of like official scoring not count those as kills.
No, it absolutely should because your block does not count as a touch.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's the visiting team.
Right. Nah, go figure. Yeah, so some other volleyball scores to get to from last night. I want to give a shout out real quick to Camel Volleyball. They're not one of the teams that you think of when you think of, top 10 teams in the area. They're not, looking at regional championships. But, man, are they putting together a really strong upswing for their program. Richie, this is a Camel Volleyball team that has been, this decade has been in the basement with the lights off, trying just to find wins would be positive for them. Last year they won all their non-conference games, and they had a respectable record going into the tournament. And they got their first tournament win in, I can't say ever because I don't know if it was their first tournament win ever, and I don't have the Camel record book in front of me. I can say that it's the first tournament win I've ever seen them win, and I've been watching high school volleyball since 2012. So it was their first tournament win in a long time when they get knocked off United in LeBray last year, and they've come out this year and they're continuing to win all their non-conference games. They got a win on the road against Newton Falls last night in 4. They have some players that are really under the radar, putting on really good stats. I mean, you look at it. It was Kendall Brunn last night with 16 kills. Angeles Diaz also had 16 kills. And then their setter, Carla Ramirez Ortiz, one of the best setters in the area statistically, is they're running that 5-1 with her. 38 assists last night. I love the energy that Coach Allen is bringing to this Camel team. I think anytime you want to rebuild a program, you got to have a guy that comes in and is passionate about it and pours all their energy into it. And I know that it can be hard to be doing when you're winning like maybe 1 or 2 games at the start. It's hard to pour all your energy into that team. But Coach Allen has done a remarkable job of just letting these girls know that, he's behind them and they've bought into his philosophy and his system. And man, Camel Volleyball is just one of the if there was a reward for most improved team of the year, I would definitely give it to Camel.
Can we highlight how cool some of these names are, by the way?
Oh,
Ramirez Ortiz, Villanueva Santos.
Right.
They've got some sweet names, but
it's kind of like a minor league baseball team, really.
I know. Going back to a couple of those players like Kendall Brunn, let's highlight her a little bit. Middle hitter and middle blocker for Camel Memorial. Brunn this year hitting 457. She's got 148 kills. I think at some point she's got to be put up for Big Dog of the Valley with
her
performance. I mean that's pretty impressive. She's got one of the best kill percentages in the entire area, and right now Camel's looking to go over 500 for the first time in a long time. They're going to take on the East Golden Bears tonight at home, who's 1-7. So a good opportunity for Camel to come away with a victory and improve to 6-5 over 500.
And those stats are with games against Crestview in there. They have to play Garfield. They have to play Brookfield. They have a tough conference they go through. So they're playing these really talented teams, and she's still able to hit, like you said, 457, which is a tremendous hitting percentage. I know we've said it before on the show with Ty and with DJ, but an average hitting percentage in volleyball for an individual, if you're average, I would say like 250, high 200s. That's pretty average. Above average, good. You're sitting at 300, maybe the low 300s, 350. If you're 350 or higher, you are doing a remarkable job. If you're over 400, you're out of this world. If you're like Tara Lytle and hitting in the 600s, then just forget about it. You're putting up volleyball video game type numbers. If there was a volleyball video game out there, that's what it would be. You'd be like turning up the sliders to 100 and getting 600 hitting hit percentage.
And going back to Campbell a little bit, Brookfield, they took them to the wire. 5 sets back on the 23rd of August, and they've got some quality sweeps over Valley Christian and Lordstown, along with Sebring and Champion. So when you look at it, 4 out of their 5 victories have been in 3 sets this year. So they played some good volleyball. Unfortunately, they got swept by Crestview and Garfield, who are the 2 best teams in the MVAC, and we know that. But overall, you got to be happy with the way this team has bounced back.
Now, I think Camel's looking at this season. They were looking at it going into it, saying there are teams in the MVAC that we didn't beat last year that we know we can, and we know we should have. And those are the teams that they have beaten this year, the champions of the world. Yep. You said, they've beaten LeBray and things like that. Like, these are teams that they lost to last year, but they feel like they could have beat. You go into going to games like teams like Crestview, and you're like, okay, let's just get better. Let's just use this to get better. If we pull off a set victory or a win, holy smokes, that's awesome. Like let's do it. But let's just use this to get better. And I think they were actually in that sweep against Crestview. They at least had one set where they were doing things right. They were looking confident. They weren't falling to the pressure of playing the Rebels. So that's something that Coach Allen's going to look at and enjoy watching the film. And he's been on the show before. He's a great guy. Happy for Campbell. I wanted to give them a shout out. And like you said, I think Brun will make an appearance on Big Dogs of the Valley before the season is over. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the most talented hitters in the Valley. And going back to the revenge tour, they got swept by LeBray. They got beat by Champion 3-1 and swept by Newton Falls. And they've kind of reversed that total here this year. And they've swept those teams this year. So, you could kind of see the improvement in the maturity from this team from last year to this year. And, good to see them doing well.
Richie, as we talked about games that we were at last night, I was obviously at the Canfield Fitch volleyball game. We talked about that one. You were at Canfield as well for boys soccer as they hosted Boardman. And it was a Canfield team that really impressed on that stage. What did you see from Canfield? I know they're under new head coach Mike Bailey. What impressed you so much about the Cardinals against Boardman?
They were aggressive. I mean, they won a lot of the 50-50 balls. They wanted it more. Defensively, very efficient, coming out, playing hard. There's one player for Boardman, Sava Cerniak, who is really good. Like, he scores maybe 2 goals a night for Boardman, and they didn't allow him to shoot the ball. Like, I don't think he had more than one shot, and it was just like a little flare from outside of the box. So they kind of targeted his number, and they played really good keep away. As you would say, kind of like in basketball, where you play that Springfield type action on a player where you're doubling him and making sure that he doesn't get too many touches. And he tried to get himself involved as much as possible. But Canfield, they came out and they played a tough game, man. I mean, the Cardinals are really good this year. They are now 5-1 with 1 loss to Kenston, who is a team that's undefeated in their region. So that'll be tough going down the stretch. They'll probably look for some revenge in the playoffs. But this is a good Canfield soccer team this year. A lot of veteran leaders. The captains, 2 of them scored all 4 goals last night. So it was fun to watch. And, their passing skills are tremendous. Give credit to Mike Bailey and what they did in the offseason. Very efficient passing. Very unselfish with the ball. And a fun team to watch for sure.
Sorry, I muted myself because I had a cough. But you had a chance to talk with Mike Bailey after the game. You can find the post-game interview on the Canfield story on ysnlive.com. But in that conversation, like, what kind of feel did you get from him after this win? What were some of his takeaways from the victory over Boardman?
Yeah, I think he was blown away by his team's performance, to be honest with you. I think he was thrilled with the way they played. Boardman, who was 5-0 with 3 ties coming in, they were a team that was undefeated and had a lot of momentum riding into that matchup. And they came out and, from the opening kickoff, they kind of dominated in every single facet of the game. So he was very happy with his team's performance. To put up 4 goals and posting the first shutout of the year against Boardman was very impressive. But when you look at it, he knew that Boardman had a couple players that were out. One of their main attackers in Thompson, he was out. His brother, who we know very well at Boardman, he plays D1 football, and he was out. That was a big loss for them. When you have Sava Cerniak and Thompson, 2 guys that could run the field very well, they kind of meshed together, and you were missing that link last night, and it showed. But their defensive scheme, he was really happy with the way they battled, and they did not allow too many balls to come into the box on Boardman's side. And overall, I think he's got some experience. You know him from South Range. He's been at Salem, so he kind of knew of the rivalry coming into last night with Canfield. It is his first year, and he said he's still trying to get to know a lot of these guys and how they play. But, they look like a great team right now, and he's been impressed with the talent they have on the field this year.
Well, at Salem, he went in. Not only did he coach the boys' team, he also coached the girls' team simultaneously, which was just an impressive feat. I'd never seen someone do that before. I know it's been done before. I think actually at Canfield,
yeah,
Phil Simone did it for a little bit, coaching the boys and girls team. He's still coaching the girls. I believe it's his 29th season under the helm for the girls soccer program, which is really one of the most decorated programs in the area when you talk about girls soccer.
Yeah.
Another soccer team that got a big win, East Liverpool, got their first victory on Patterson Field, the first Potter win in any sport on that new turf. They shut out Harrison Central 5-0 to get the victory. And, that's a big win. I know the football team had the first crack at it. They couldn't do it against Beaver Local. So the boys soccer team said, no worries. We won't make you wait long. Potter fans, just 4 days later, we're going to get a win on this field and christen the beautiful turf at Patterson Field with a victory as they shut out Harrison Central.
Their offense is starting to click, Ant, when you look at it. They scored 6 goals against Columbiana. They scored 5 against Harrison Central last night. So in the last 4 days, they've scored a total of 11 goals. So their offense is starting to click at the right time. I know they've had some bumps and bruises throughout the early part of the campaign, dropping their first 4 matches. And, Marlington was kind of a humbling experience losing that match 11-1. But, they're looking to bounce back in the latter half of their season. And they've got an easier slate coming up than they did in the first half. Let's just say that.
Let's stick with soccer as we go into another result that we got reported in last night. Quakers got their second EBC win, still early in the conference slate as they beat Minerva 4-1. They are 2-0 in the EBC. We had, A.R. Berlin had a goal. Lance Bailey had 2 goals. Tim Stevens had a goal. Assisting on the goals for Salem was Troy Gibson and Corey Plunkett, as well as Berlin got an assist as well as his goal. So Salem is now 5-1-2 on the year overall, 2-0 in the EBC, and they will return to play on September 20th against Carrollton at home to continue EBC play. 6 o'clock is the kickoff time for that. Salem, like we just said, we talked about Mike Bailey. He coached this team last year, and I think he left the standard there that's still there.
Yeah, they've been really good this year. Outside of 1-1-0 loss to Ravenna, they've kind of dominated every single team that they've played so far. So the Quakers, who are 5-1-2, 2 ties to Garrettsville, Garfield, and the other one to South Range, and a 0-0 tie. So that's always a tough one to walk away from when you don't score a goal. But I guess that leads me into a topic we can discuss, and if there should be PKs in high school soccer after an overtime.
We've seen them in obviously you have to have them in tournaments, and it doesn't really do anything negative in tournaments. So I don't see why you can't just implement it in the regular season either.
I think you have to. I don't know. That just leaves a sour taste in your mouth going home with a tie. It's kind of like in football when in the NFL, if you go through that overtime and you tie, it's like, well, we did all that for nothing. I know you get points for a tie. I think it's 1 point. Counted towards the playoff rankings, but at the end of the day, I'd rather lose than tie, to be honest with you.
A soccer game is 80 minutes in high school, right? So you go 80 minutes, and then overtime's 15, so you're 95. I think in the tournaments they go 2 overtimes before they do penalty kicks. So you're talking. I mean, if they, I don't know, did they just do 1 overtime and then a tie in the regular season? Is that how they for high school? Mm-hmm. So you're talking 95 minutes already, and then added penalty kicks onto that. That's a long night. I guess that would be the argument against it, which I think is a silly argument because football is playing long nights. Your basketball teams are playing long nights, So if you want to say we don't want to travel back home late at night, it's like all your other athletes are doing it anyway. What are we doing here?
5 minutes. You line up on both sides.
Right.
You have 3 guys kick, 4 guys, whatever you want to do. 3, 4 guys kick. 1 put the ball down, kick it. Whatever. Good, no good, move on. Other end. All right, you kick it. It's a very simple process. It's not like they got to run up and down the field during PKs. The goalkeeper stands in the net, and whoever takes them puts the ball in the box. You go at it.
That's another interesting thing we talk about. Athletes getting home late and that being a reason why to not extend things like that. Earlier in the season, Springfield and Waterloo played a girls' soccer game that was really hyped up. It was for the first place in the MVAC. Waterloo has Kara English, who might be the best soccer player in the state statistically. I mean, she's going for a state record in career goals. As a junior, she has 108. The state record is 192. So she's on pace to get that state record with a huge chunk of this season left and next season left. But anyway, so they had her in Waterloo versus Springfield. Springfield 3-time MVAC champions. It was a big game, but they played it at 5 instead of under the lights in Waterloo. And I was thinking, like, why aren't they doing that? And one of the people said, well, Springfield doesn't want to get home late. And I was like, yeah, but like every other sport's getting home just as late as you would if you started that game at 7. It didn't really make much sense. That argument didn't really make much sense to me on why not to play this game under the lights. And I know Waterloo has lights because they have football home games. So I was like, man, I bet those players would have loved a primetime game for one that was that hyped up.
I'll say this. If you want to prep your student athletes for college, they're going to be getting home late.
Richie knows.
I know that quite well. And I'll tell you a quick story real quick, and this relates to getting home late. So Youngstown State baseball, we were traveling to Milwaukee. All right. And this was a weekend series, Friday through Sunday. We play a doubleheader on Sunday. We play the first game. There's a rain delay in the second game. And Milwaukee's a good 8 hours by car. So we get through the rain delay, whatever. We play the second game. It's late. I mean, it's dark. The guys have to shower. The guys have to eat before we get on the bus. There's another hour. You get on the bus, drive home. We get stuck in Chicago because the Chicago Bears got done playing a game. So we get stuck in Chicago. We don't get home till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then another good story for you. We're playing Ohio State, another rain delay for an hour and a half. They end up playing the game. They finish the game. Same situation. Guys got to eat before they get on the bus. We get on. We get home. Romo was with me. It's past 1 o'clock in the morning. They play Pitt the next day at noon.
No, thank you.
Like, that was one of the hardest broadcasts I've ever had because I had to wake up at 7 a.m. for an 8 a.m. class.
Oh.
And then after my 2 classes, go to Eastwood. Didn't get there till 11. Played at noon. We were exhausted. Like, it was brutal. But that's what you gotta do. Like, if you want your student athletes to get prepared to play in those situations, you can't cradle to them and play at 5 o'clock just because you don't want them to get home late. Like, half these kids are up till midnight anyway.
Right,
like,
they're playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, they play Call of Duty. Like,
Fortnite.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And for anybody that says that they can't extend games because of time issues is crazy. I mean, like,
and there's no more, well, like, because in baseball and softball you have to fight the daylight. Well, soccer plays on football fields, and you're not going to find too many without lights in this area. So to say that we have to fight daylight also is kind of a cop out, I think, too, to say we can't extend soccer games because we have to fight daylight.
And I get that a lot of schools don't want their players late because of school work. But they have plenty of time to do schoolwork after school. Like, you sit down and you designate an hour and a half before your bus leaves. You got another hour to do whatever you want.
And to my other point, it's like, well, you're making all your other athletes wait that long because, basketball, you're not getting home until probably 10:30 if you're lucky for a basketball game because varsity starts at 7, goes until 9. Okay, maybe 9:30 or 10. But volleyball the same way. It starts at 7. Your football teams don't get home until late. I know it's a weekend, so it's a little bit easier to do that on a Friday night. But you're asking all your other athletes to do the same thing. Wrestlers don't get home till late. Other than baseball and softball, which starts early to fight daylight because there aren't a lot of fields with lights. Your athletes are getting home late anyway. So it's like, why are we catering to those particular athletes saying they can't get home late?
I agree. There's no argument for it, really. I mean, we've said all there can be said.
So I want to see more big matchups like that are hyped up, get into primetime slots. So we can cover them. They can be primetime. It's a lot easier to get to a soccer game for some of our announcers if it starts at 7 than it starts at 5.
Oh, no doubt.
A lot of our announcers have day jobs, and if we tell them we have to get to a soccer game by 5, how are we going to do it? I get off work at 4,
Yeah, like, especially a lot of our broadcasters come from school, like
or school or work.
We have a good portion of broadcasters, some in high school, a lot of them are at Youngstown State, and like they have class till like 3:00.
Right.
And they've got extracurricular activities that they have to do as well. Like, it's very difficult for people to make 5:00 games. And I saw that Warren Harding played Canfield. It was 6:20. They started the varsity volleyball match. There was nobody there. Like, all the parents showed up. They were like, "What the heck?" Like, it was 7:00, and they were showing up, and we were already in the third set.
Right.
It was crazy.
I remember last week I got to Crestview. Hey, I like to get there before the JV because I set up on the floor, so I don't want to set up during a game going on because I always feel like I'm in the way. So I get there, but I get there in plenty of time before a normal JV start. I'm at like 5:15. No one's even in the gym yet. Like, Garfield hasn't shown up.
Wow.
Garfield walked in at like 6:00. They were like a half an hour late, so that JV game didn't start till 6:30 because you have to give them 20-minute warm-ups.
Is that the worst though, or what? When you're setting up and like they're playing, and you're like, "Oh, please, just don't have a ball come over here, please."
There's no way to avoid it. Volleyball is the most dangerous sport to set up on the floor against.
Oh, and
it really is
on the floor.
So I set up, and then during warm-ups, I stand right in front of our table, and like I'm locked in. Like, balls are coming from this side, because usually when one team's warming up on the floor, the other team's on the baseline doing pepper.
Yep.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
It was actually, I think it was Littell and Pallone that were hitting pepper, and they smoked the table. Like,
yeah, no.
Opposite side, I was like, "Oh God!" And they were like,
I was at Gerard once, and they were right in front. I went up to them. I was like, because Bree was facing that way, so her back to me. I went up to Bree. I said, "You are protecting my life." So,
And then Poland
focus up.
actually had one of their freshmen come over and stand right next to our table because they were doing pepper. Like, their visiting bleachers were down, and where our table's at in that corner there, they were doing it over there, and they were hitting. And you had a ball flying.
Because Poland has all that room because they put out their visiting bleachers. They put them against the wall. So they have like a whole nother basketball court to go into whatever they want over there.
And that's where both teams go, and they were smoking balls right at the wall. And I'm like, dude, I look at like, dude, we're done. Like,
those are the worst. The ones that you think got past you, and then they hit the ball behind you.
Yeah, and then
that happened to me last year. I was like, okay, I tip it up, and it goes. I'm safe. It hits the wall, and ricochet comes back and hits the back of the camera. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
I actually made a great play at Poland. The one ball was coming. Outside hitter goes cross court, hits it right near the table, and I like lean over and I like smack it back into play. And everybody was like, "Oh,
Juliana with the kill."
It's like a light little hand raise. Yep, thank you.
Have you ever played like rec volleyball or volleyball in gym class?
I played with Morgan Cleveley and a couple of her teammates at YSU down at the rec at Youngstown State. I was terrible. I was so bad. Like, I was able to hang on to it. Like I was good at digging. That's about it. Like, I could pass the same.
Which is weird because like you usually digging is like you have to read the shoulders. You have to know where that ball's coming from. Unless you're in like the perfect spot.
Yeah,
it's more than just reacting.
They just needed a body, and I stood in the back row, and I pretty much.
I got this. Man, digging against college level volleyball players, that shouldn't have been fun. I hope you were on the same side as Morgan Cleveley.
It was like the Paya sisters were on our team.
Oh no,
it was Cleveley. A couple of the baseball guys were on our team, like Grant Kirsch and Brandon Matthews. So it was fun. We just went down to play for fun. And
what do you think about boys volleyball and like trying to build a program and trying to get like the me and DJ talked about a little. I think the volleyball in the first year is going to be a little ugly.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to get a lot of guys that know the ins and outs of volleyball. They just want to kind of play a sport.
They just want to hit the ball,
right?
So I mean,
I was talking to Coach Hauer, and I said it's going to be nothing but aces and airs.
Yes,
because you're going to have guys that hit the ball hard, serve the ball hard, that are hard to return. So you're going to get your aces, but like service errors and then like double touches are going to be ridiculous. The referees might not even call them.
Well, what's crazy about like boys volleyball is that in Columbus they have teams and Cincinnati,
those big cities. Yeah,
the kid I went to college with, his school Beaver Creek down in Cincinnati has a boys volleyball team, and they're like really like they compete like around the state for it. But the problem is there's not many teams, and they got to travel far distances to play. And that's kind of the same thing for like Ohio State. They're playing like weird schools like Central State. I saw they were playing the one night. They got to travel to USC, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara. Like a lot of the California schools have it, but nobody around this area does.
Because in California, the guys go play beach volleyball, which is real big over there, and then that gets them right into the indoor volleyball scene. Yeah,
beach volleyball would be sweet.
And then, Yale has Matt Sterling, so, he's just a god. If you don't get that reference, go onto YouTube and just search Matt Sterling volleyball. It'll give you a very good laugh for your day.
It really will. But
I promise you. The announcers make that video. They're just brilliant. But then, obviously, just Matt Sterling he's a legend. A legend. I want to call a volleyball game like that just once.
Oh, God. They'd be hearing you from the rafters.
I know. Oh, man, that'd be fun. We're going to take our first break of the day. When we get back, we'll go over some more results. We have Brian Tolnar coming on at 1 with Maddie Zines from United Golf as well. We'll have a conversation with him and her, and it's going to be a fun one at 1 o'clock. All that and more coming up next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms. 21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Richie Giuliano as we continue throughout this Wednesday episode. Brian Polnar coming on at 1 with Maddie Zines as well from United Golf. We'll have a conversation with both of them together. I'm sure Brian will add a lot to that interview and kind of his insights on golf. Maddie has put together not just a great high school golf season, but she's had a good summer in the 2022 campaign as well for United. We'll talk to her, and then we got Big Dogs of the Valley to talk about afterwards. Before we get to that, though, Richie, we do have a couple of more results from last night to go over on ysnlive.com. We go to the homepage, which once again, we want to thank all of our wonderful photographers out there, Mahoning Valley Sports, Gary Leininger, and the people that help contribute to our site. Would not look nearly as good without the beautiful pictures that we have running on the homepage.
Yeah, thank you to all of them. And I know, you do so much for content on the website, and it helps so much when you're able to put up an image there instead of one of those that we make on, our graphics machine. So it's nice to have pictures of the athletes and, get them some FaceTime as well out there in the community. So, thanks to all those that shoot photos for us and put in that hard work. I know it could be a very difficult job, especially, when the conditions aren't the best, right? I don't think it's very fun to shoot when it's raining or it's snowing, and you might have to carry around boatloads of equipment and, cameras. So we do appreciate them and all that they do for us. And they put together some great work. Go to Mahoning Valley Sports and check out their photography, and they could have a bundle package for you for just $200, and they could go out and they could shoot your athlete individually. So you can't really beat that. I mean, you could get your own package with just your student athlete for just $200. So it's a great deal.
Plus, they put themselves on the line just like we do for volleyball. I mean, they're out there right behind the baseline taking shots, and I'm like, good Lord, how do you not get hit by one of these attacks?
Yeah. No, I know. They're out there in the elements. Another funny story, one of the guys at 21 WFMJ, and, I'll keep his identity close.
Yeah, DL.
Taken out at one ball game. That clip was like viral. Like they hit him in the.
I remember. I think I know who you're talking about.
He flipped over.
Yeah, he totally flipped. But he kept the camera safe.
He did. He kept it safe, and he got up and he kept shooting, and he showed me the video of the actual shot when the guy was coming at him, and the camera just goes. It was awesome
because he knows, and we know that we're replaceable and the equipment is not. So that's what our motto is: put your body on the line to protect the camera and computer at all costs. That's why we stand in front of the volleyball table during warm-ups. Crestview stays dominant in the MVAC. They have won 67 consecutive MVAC matches. They are 7-0 on the season, 7-0 in the conference. They beat LeBray, who gave them a little bit of a battle in set one, 27-25. And then Crestview ran away from there, 25-12, 25-8. Abby Emchen, I know you know her sister pretty well. Played at YSU for a little bit. Emily Emch, also Molly Emch, her older sister. Abby's holding up that family flag very well. She had 20 kills as a sophomore, just another double-digit performance. 19 kills on Tuesday, 19 kills last night. She had 20 kills on Thursday against Garfield. So back-to-back nights with 19-plus double-double like every night. I mean, it feels like she's putting up a double-double every night. She had 11 digs as well. Grace Hour also had a double-double, 17 assists, 11 digs for her. She had 9 kills, so she was 1 kill away from that triple-double, which is a lot more rare in volleyball. Laney Hour led the defense with 17 digs, and she had 8 kills, 7 assists for her, and that's what makes Crestview so good. They have such a well-rounded offense. Abby Emch out of the middle is probably the most electrifying middle blocker. Maybe. I mean, I know Tara Lytle's there. We're going to see how those two end up. But, man, when Crestview sets fast out of the middle and they get in system, it is so hard to defend. There aren't a lot of teams that are ready for fast middle sets. And when Grace just she almost just taps the ball right into Abby Imch's hand on those one balls right down the middle. It's so hard to defend.
They haven't lost a set yet, right? No. All right. They have not lost a single set.
In fact, they've lost one set in MVAC play ever since it started, since they were made members of the MVAC. That was last year. Brookfield took one set from them. And so they've lost one set in 67 consecutive MVA conference matches.
I think, though, this is going to be one of their biggest tests coming up tonight against McDonald on the road. And, McDonald, the Blue Devils might be able to get one set from them tonight. I mean, they're 8-2. They've got a good squad this year. Their other loss to Canfield, who's pretty solid. So, looking up and down the schedule for Crestview, this might be the one match outside of Girard and Austintown Fitch later on.
Back to back, too.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I'm excited for the end of their season because they have Fitch, Girard, Salem, Boardman back to back. All upper division teams.
I think we're going to have to get those ones covered.
I think so. I think we're going to have to get people out there. I know the one Ty's excited because they go to Fitch, and that's going to be one that he's going to be able to call, and he's kind of salivating for that game because he knows it's going to be a good one when Jocelyn Jordan goes up against Abby Imch, and two great blockers, two girls that are, I believe, over 6'4". So that'll be fun when those two go up. It'll almost have a college atmosphere to it when you have two hitters that are that tall going up against each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be awesome. And you can't look too far ahead, though, if you're Crestview. You got to take it match by match. They do have an easier slate coming up, but those are the type of matches where you want to kind of polish the tools and get them sharpened up and get ready for the later half because, let's be honest, if Crestview is going to get a top seed in the playoffs, it's all about preparing yourself for tough matches and playing maybe more than 3 sets because that's what you're going to have to do once you get into the playoffs. You're not going to go into the regional and you're not going to sweep teams.
No.
They're going to have to get prepped to play in a high-intensity environment like in Austintown Fitch where that gym is packed. It's loud. There's going to be a lot of pressure on every single point. So that's a great scheduling point by Crestview. They're playing up divisions like crazy. Like Austintown Fitch is a crazy matchup for Crestview, but they still have the ability to beat them with how talented they are.
Oh yeah, I think Crestview has a good chance in that game. Watching both teams live now a couple of times, there's a quality chance in that match. It'll be a good one. Mineral Ridge is still undefeated, as they are now 7-0 on the season after beating Springfield last night in 3 sets. Your score is 25-7, 25-16, 25-11. That was the first match for Mineral Ridge after Samantha Aulette got her 1,000th career assist on Monday. The Rams were led by Aulette with 31 assists. She had 6 aces as well. Sophomore Ava Hewlett had 14 kills on the night to lead them. And then leading the defense was Olivia Booth with 9 digs, 1 ace. Hewlett also added 8 digs to her performance, so she was just 2 digs away from that double-double. Mineral Ridge starts their second round of MVAC play on Thursday as they host Western Reserve. That'll be the second matchup against Reserve, and Reserve's one of the teams that took some sets from Mineral Ridge before falling to them. So it'll be a good one. You got Olivia Hughes on one side, you got Ava Hewlett on the other, you got Lisa Eichert, then you have Olivia Booth. So both teams have strong hitters. I think the difference the last time they matched up was Mineral Ridge had the absolute pristine setter, and Western Reserve lost a senior setter last year, trying to have a sophomore come in and just kind of go through some growing pains with their setting. So I think that was the difference in the first matchup. We'll see what kind of lessons Western Reserve learned the second time around.
You're going to have that one, right, on Thursday night?
Yep, I'm going to Mineral Ridge for that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good match. I know looking at Thursday, kind of looking ahead, we're going to have some good ones. I know we're going to have Niles and South Range, Warren G. Harding at Fitch, Struthers at Poland, which should be a good matchup. And then Romo and myself will have Lakeview at Hubbard, kind of going
a good one.
Eagle territory, see if they could fare against a really good volleyball team this year.
What's fun about volleyball at Hubbard, Richie, is they have that gym with the student section and the the back behind the hoops, and they put those down. So your girls have a lot of room to go and make some miraculous plays if they're able to run down balls way behind that 10-foot line. So you have some capability of some miraculous plays back there in the back row if a ball goes far enough back on maybe a tough serve receive.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I know Lakeview's really good. It's going to be a big test for Hubbard, and we'll see if Hubbard can win a couple sets in that matchup because of how difficult it is to take one against Lakeview this year. And we've got some terrific volleyball teams in the area. When you could rattle them off, I mean, Crestview at the top, Lakeview's there battling. You got Girard, you got Fitch, you got Mineral Ridge, a plethora of teams that are undefeated in their respective areas. So, a lot of volleyball talent, and I think towards the postseason, we're going to have a lot of coverage on them because they're going to be making some big-time runs.
Speaking of undefeated, Lakeview is still perfect as they went into South Range last night and got the win in straight sets. Set scores were 25-17, 25-9, 25-15. Tara Lytle, another night with double-digit kills for her. She finished with 13. Maddie Mylock led them in assists with 21. Her and Maggie Pavlansky have done a great job cutting away the assist in that 6-2 offense they run, which is a really good bonus for Lakeview because they're able to keep 3 hitters in the front row at all times, which is a big bonus for them for running a 6-2. So the fact that Mylock is able to come in and set with Pavlansky is big. Pavlansky finished with 11 digs to lead the defense. South Range stats, Maria Primavera, she had 10 kills, 6 digs. Madison Dado had a nice night as well. She finished with 7 kills, 5 digs. And then Jamie Farron had 15 assists for the Raiders. Lakeview will be back in action on Thursday as they go to Hubbard. You'll have the call there. South Range, as we said earlier, also will be on YSN as they actually are in they host Niles on Thursday. So both those matchups will be on the network on Thursday, tomorrow, or you could say tomorrow. And we'll have those ones for you now. We're going to bring in Maddie Zines, who comes in from United. Brian Tolnar will be on in a bit. We're going to start out this interview with her, and a great golfer for United that is having a tremendous 2022. Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
What did you do in the offseason, Maddie, to become such a great golfer this season? I know you had a lot of great accomplishments last year, qualifying for the greatest golfer of the Valley in the championship rounds. But what did you do to kind of prepare yourself for this season? Because you put up some spectacular numbers so far and have broken all the records you put up in 2021.
Thank you. I worked on short game all over winter, and in the spring, I've just been working on my irons because as much as I'd like to grip it and rip it with my driver, that's not how you get your score down to the 30s and, well, shoot under 80.
When you were young and you were watching golf, and was there temptations to grip it and rip it? I mean, were you impatient enough to say, like, I want to hit this ball so hard? I feel like young golfers, you watch golf on TV, and obviously the professionals can drive it out the wazoo. Was it ever hard for you to learn that maybe you didn't have to drive it ridiculously far to get a good score?
Yes, I think as I matured, I realized that. You drive for show and you putt for dough.
I love that. We're going to have to use that.
When you talk about shooting under 80, you did that this season. You have the 18-hole school record shooting 79. What were some of the things that were working for you on that day? Of course, you talk about your chipping and putting, but when you shoot 79, everything's kind of clicking for you on that day, right?
Not actually.
Okay.
I started off with 2 double bogeys, so I did not start off great. And something that happened was my mom, who is our coach, she told Ben, who works at Salem Hills, that I wasn't starting off great. And he said, you know what, I think she's going to shoot a 79. And on the back, I shot lights out, and I got a 79. So that was something memorable about that day.
What was like the mindset? How did you bounce back from that tough start and kind of reset yourself and get yourself mentally prepared to go out and do as well as you did throughout the rest of the day?
I think number 3 is a par 3, and my driver was not going well that day. So I had a good shot and I got par on that hole. And I think that's what helped me calm down and stay focused.
Now, when you look in your golf bag, what are some of your favorite clubs to use? I mean, when you pick up a certain club and you know you're going to hit it well, I mean, what's that club for you?
Well, my driver for sure, but my 56 is my baby. One time I accidentally left my 56 on a course and I had a match the next day and I was looking for it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I left it there. I need to go get it now. And I told my mom, I need to leave now. And she's like, no, you got to play this match. I was like, I need it.
I need it. Do you name your clubs? Does 56 have a name? Are you someone that likes to have that kind of relationship with your equipment?
Well, I don't have a name for it, but it is a Mac Daddy. So
we're gonna bring Brian Tolnar into this interview too, our golf guru from Mill Creek Golf Course. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. And as we talk out to Maddie Zines, we already went over kind of her preparation and some of the records that she's broken this year. I know you've had a chance to see her with the greatest golfer. What kind of things stick out to you yourself when you watch Maddie play?
I think something that you alluded to early, short game. I mean, it's the short game from 50 yards and in and 100 yards and in is so important. And everybody really wants to focus on, the driving aspects of the game. And if you think about it, in a 9-hole high school match, you're only hitting that driver about 7 times. In 18 holes, probably 13 or 14 times because of the par threes and how the way the golf courses is set up. So if, we always talk about as PGA professionals, if you want to improve your score and drop a lot of shots very quickly, it's within the short game. So it's nice to see that she really put some time and effort in during the off season for that short game. So it's vitally important in having success, especially at the high school level and having aspirations for that collegiate level as well.
Maddie, when you look at some of these other accolades you've had this year, you also have the school record for the nine-hole score with a 37. You placed first in the Mahoning Valley Girls Invitational at Salem Hills. You shot a 72 at the Alliance Invitational. First place in the Squaw Creek Greatest Golfer of the Valley qualifier. When you look at all the things that you've been able to do this year, what are some of your proudest achievements that you've been able to call yourself that you've been able to have this season?
Being a finalist in the Greatest Golfer, I really want to thank Todd Franco for that, because the Greatest Golfer really introduces you into like this new perspective and has helped me become better as a golfer. I'd also like to talk about being a finalist and ending up in second place this year at the Greatest Golfer. My parents' friend Dave Dees was actually my caddy for that day, and he really helped me with course management. And somewhere where you really need course management is districts at Sable Creek. It's really easy to get into a lot of trouble, which I did last year. And if I get out of sectionals and get into districts, I know if I get under 80, I could probably make it to state.
When you play in a greatest golfer competition like that against some of the greatest golfers around this area, how much do you think that prepares you for when you get to the playoffs in the district, so that, I'm locked in, I got to play well and I got to shoot well every single shot?
Definitely. It introduced me into 18-hole matches, because when I was a freshman, my first year ever playing in the sectionals, I was blown away by 18 holes. I was so tired. And playing in Greatest Golfer helped me get used to it and be able to pace myself for 18 holes so I'm ready for sectionals.
Brian, I know you've been dying to be a part of these interviews. What are some burning questions that you have for these area golfers?
Well, I think there's a couple that, resonates with me. I'm always, anxious to see how everybody practices and prepares. What are some of the things that you do on a daily basis to make yourself, game time ready when it comes to a 9-hole match or an 18-hole invitational?
I work with my favorite club, my 56, and I work with my 7-iron, and I work with my driver. Those 3 clubs are the ones that I practice with the most, because my driver leaves me at least close enough for when I was from the women's. It leaves me with I only have to hit with my 56. So I work with that club. I work with my driver and my 7-iron for maybe long distances.
Awesome. What's your aspirations beyond high school golf? I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking to play collegiately, or are you looking to play another sport, or is this the one you want to focus on?
I want to focus on this sport. I look to play in college golf because it will definitely help me with what I want to major in, finance, and it will help with business.
Let's talk about off the course a little bit, get to know you from a personal perspective. What are some of your favorite things to do outside of golf, and what are some of the hobbies that you have in your life?
I play softball. I used to play basketball, but I'm quitting this year because I'm focusing more on golf. I play in the band. My favorite subject is English. I like to write. I like to draw, and overall, I have a lot of hobbies.
You remember that great United band. What's it like in the Friday night atmosphere? What's it feel like to be a part of the band and be able to put on the show in halftime?
It's really fun. I really like playing in the band. I love music. It's incredible to be under the lights. A bit different than golf.
What instrument do you play?
The mellophone or the French horn.
And what's the favorite song that you guys are able to perform on a Friday night?
Well, in our show, we play My House, and we are starting to learn Poker Face, which is a favorite song of mine.
What about like before your golf meets? What are some playlists that you have to kind of put yourself in that right mindset that Brian was talking about earlier?
Oh, I don't listen to music before my matches. I think it distracts me, a lot of noise in my head. It kind of distracts me from my game and scoring good.
All right. What about your personal playlist outside of golf? What kind of things do you like to listen to and put in your ears?
A bit of everything.
A bit of everything. I like people like that. You said your favorite subject was English. Who are some teachers that you've had throughout your career that have impacted where you are right now?
My mom. She is a tutor mostly in English, and she really helped me improve my writing as I moved forward in high school. So she definitely helped me with my grades and everything.
As a golfer, we have to ask you this. What is your favorite course to play on that you've been able to shoot with?
Well, because of Greatest Golfer, I'm able to play on Avalon and Squaw Creek, which are favorites of mine, but I don't get to play them very often. But my favorite, like locally, probably Firestone. I work there, and Salem Hills. I've had a few lessons there.
What about one golf course that you haven't played yet that you would love to have the opportunity to play on?
The state golf course. I can't remember the name of it, but I'd love to make it to state.
I think Brian can help us out with that.
It depends. They kind of bounce around between Scarlet and Gray and North Star. So I'm, hopefully it'll be on one of those three, but it's generally in those avenues there.
I think we can get Maddie down there for a state qualifier. I think that can happen.
Thank you.
Maddie,
shooting all year, she'll be in great shape.
Before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to thank your support system and the people that are always there for you throughout your career.
I'd like to thank Coach Joe Allen from Avalon. He's the one who helped me with my short game over the winter. He gave me lessons over the winter, which really helped me improve and realize that I should not just grip it and rip it, that there is infinite shots from 100 in. Around 66% of your game is short game. I'd like to thank my parents. My mom became the girls' coach for golf, and the girls' golf team is very new, but I think they have a lot of athletic talent, so I need to help them by shooting low.
Maddie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and giving us a little bit of insight into your really good season that you're having. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of the year, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you so much.
Great job, Maddie.
Maddie Zines with United Girls Golf joining us, and we thank her for her time. We'll pop Brian into the big box as he becomes kind of the highlight of the rest of this segment. Brian, what were some of your takeaways to listening to Maddie talk about her game? And obviously you already talked about what you've seen from her, but like you said, if she keeps shooting the way she does, it's going to be kind of a good omen for qualifying for state.
Well, I think it's her passion for her short game. She talked about her 56-degree wedge and that 50 and 100-yard mark on the way in. Not too many kids talk about that in junior golf and high school golf, just because it's not as glamorous as hitting a 300-yard drive down the middle. So to have that focus and to really be able to spend the amount of time that she has on the short game, from what she was saying, is phenomenal. And I think that's why she's shooting the scores that she's shooting, because if you don't have your A game, you have to have a way to get it up and down, and you have to be able to grind out those birdies and pars and bogeys from time to time. So I think short game, I think she's definitely on the right track. And if she wants to play collegiately, it's a grind of working on 50 to 100 yards and in. So I think she's right on track for that.
Brian, and some other golf teams that we want to highlight today. I know we've been kind of picking one team every week. Canfield girls just won the AAC championship last night, and they were led by Jocelyn Zhao, who got the I believe 79 is what she shot. What have you seen from the Canfield girls golf? I know Boardman has been really putting together a good season. So what's so special about Canfield? They were able to get that win. Boardman finished second in that AAC championship.
Well, I think they've been playing good all year. Both the Canfield boys and girls team, they both won the titles for that league. So, I mean, hats off to the coaches there, Karinsky and Dean Connolly, with the girls team. They've really spent a lot of time practicing and working with the girls. And again, we, just talked about it with Maddie on short game, the chipping and putting aspects of it, the bump and runs, the flop shots, the pitch and runs. I get to see it on a day-to-day basis out here at Mill Creek. And it's fun to be able to watch, and how they do in their league is really going to set them up to making a run here, as the sectionals get underway in districts and having the opportunity to qualify for state. But top to bottom, them and Boardman, the best two in that side of the league for the girls. And like I said, the boys team also won the boys division, the AAC as well. So it's great to see, some of the teams that I get the opportunity to watch on an almost day-to-day basis here at Mill Creek having some success, but also putting in the time and the effort that's needed with, being able to win at a championship level and to be able to shoot the scores that they're shooting. It comes down to, making the putts and getting your chip shots close to be able to get it up and down to make that par. And I think their hard work is definitely paying off.
You've seen a lot of victories over the past couple days at Mill Creek Golf Course. I mean, Youngstown State just won the Roseanne Schwartz Invitational by 24 strokes. The second place team was Bellarmine. Puthita Kwan Rudy, who returned from last year, she was kind of injured a little bit. She was unbelievable shooting under par that one round. Kind of talk about what you saw from Youngstown State and how they were able to pick up such a dominant match victory.
Well, I think, they certainly played well. And I think what's, more eye-opening to me is the depth that they have in that lineup. Obviously they could only have 5 players participate in the team portion. They had 3 individuals also participate on the event as well. And both shot, and all 3 of them shot extremely well. You have a freshman, you had the Regala sisters that both played well that weren't in the starting lineup. Lizzie Sauer shoots 69 in the opening round in that 4 spot, and Pang, she's phenomenal. I don't know that there's any other player that I've seen at the collegiate level that has more fun, is more laid back, and is laughing and telling jokes and just having a good time than why she's one player Pang. I mean, she's phenomenal. I mean, she's just fun to play with, and the girls coming in doing the scoring over the past couple of days, to be able to watch her basically, talk and laugh and giggle when you're signing your scorecards, and to know that you shot 72, 69, and, that she made like 5 bogeys to shoot 72. So, I mean, she made the turn at 1 or 2 under. So she's playing extremely well. And it wouldn't shock me whatsoever at the end of her career, at the end of this year, because she is playing her 5th year, that she'll have just about the lion's share of all the records, that Youngstown State women's program has, just for the fact that, she's so consistent. She's so steady. She's had a great summer of playing amateur golf as well. And, top to bottom there, YSU going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to the Rising Championship. You had 5 Penguins in the top 10 for the overall tournament. Winners by 20 plus shots. Bellarmine comes in from Louisville, Kentucky. You got Cleveland State, which is in the division. Detroit Mercy, they put a pouncing on them as well. Mount St. Mary's. You name it, top to bottom, they really dominated the field Monday and Tuesday, and dealt with some elements too, because we had some rain in there. It was like 85 and sunny on Monday, and it was the total opposite, when it came to yesterday. We had 50, 60 degrees. It was cloudy. It was spitting rain at times, and very, very windy. So the players had to deal with some adversity, but to be able to shoot under par and finish the tournament under par as Pang did, to be the medalist for the entire event is just phenomenal. With the conditions that they dealt with.
Before we go into what's going on in Mill Creek in the next week, I want to ask, since golf tournaments are starting to approach, what's one high school team that you think has the best chance to put multiple golfers qualifying to state?
Well, I think as a team, there's two to come to mind. Obviously, Boardman and Campfield. I think those are probably the strongest two on the girl side. As you get to the boys side, Cardinal Mooney, Campfield. I think Cardinal Mooney has played. They have the probably strongest 3 or 4 players in a 5-player lineup. So I think they're a force to be reckoned. And then Campfield's just deep all around. They have another 5. They have basically a red and a black team and a white team, and they're very strong from top to bottom. So if anybody happens to get injured or anybody's not playing particularly well, the next person rises up and moves into that spot. So I think longevity, those are probably the teams that you're going to see go the farthest, or be able to send as many teams and many people as you can, from our area. Ursuline boys is still pretty good. South Range is still pretty good, but the depth in those two teams, I think, are just a little bit, stronger than the rest of the field.
And kind of preview, dude. Another big week last week. What's coming up at the Metro Parks here in this upcoming week?
Well, oddly enough, it's a quiet weekend for golf. This is the first weekend where we don't have an outing on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or a combination of the 2 or 3 days of the weekend. So it's going to be a normal, regular weekend to play. We do have our Green Cathedral as it comes to the recreation side. So that's our park run marathon here. We have a kids portion of that as well. You can register at millcreekmetroparks.org. And then we also start our archery camp on Monday up at the Metro Parks Farm. So, recreation's kind of winding down as the season's winding down a little bit. Got a new recreation manager that's just getting his feet wet up there. Stephen Oleski's his name. Played football for, I want to say, Grove City. So, he knows the area well here, doing a nice job for us. He's only been about a month, into the position, but transitioning well. We're getting ready for our building to open up later this fall for the health and wellness up at the WIC recreation area. And I think with that, and we've got a cornhole tournament lined up for the end of the month as well. So there's still some activities, and as well as the Metro Mutts and some recreational hikes and the Metro Cycler biking thing that we do here throughout the park that we started this year. So it's had some popularity to it, but golf side, it's just going to be a regular weekend to play. And then basically we pick up from next week on. We have something pretty much going out till the middle of October. So one of the rare weekends that it's just regular play and there's not a tournament that you're prepping for. However, it seems like we've prepped for them for about the last 7 or 8 days with tournaments over the weekend and Friday, and then YSU on Monday and Tuesday.
What are you going to do with yourself with a slow weekend?
I am going to actually maybe play golf on Saturday for the first time in a long time. And then I've got, I'm back on the bag for Preston on Sunday afternoon, late Sunday afternoon.
Awesome. We know you're also looking forward to the Football Friday and the Audible Call. And I know Canfield's got the big matchup with Caney. I know you'll be watching that. And obviously Hubbard also, I know you keep a track of that Hubbard program. They're playing as well. What game are you most looking forward to watching on Friday?
Well, I'm going to be flipping between 3. It's going to be obviously Canfield because Preston goes there and he watches them. And I bounced a little bit between the Hubbard Poland game last week. Didn't have the outcome that I was looking for, but it is what it is. They kind of struggled the first couple games and kind of squeaked by a little bit. And then Lakeview, we have my cousin's married to the coach Sam Bellino at Lakeview. So we've talked about going to that game, if not, watching them on the deck. It's supposed to be beautiful out, so I'll probably hang out, order pizza, get some wings, and watch it on the deck. So it's going to be a nice Friday, relaxing Friday before the stress hits us on Sunday for Preston's tournament again. So
if you ever want to come up to the booth at Canfield, you're more than welcome. All right.
You got it. I'll definitely have to do that sometime.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for
the radio station and had a lot of fun doing it. I was basically doing stats just to do something on Friday nights. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. But since we've had Preston, it's changed things a little bit. So
I think Richie would love a statistician.
Oh yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for being a part of that interview with Maddie Ysn. It was great to have your knowledge added to it. We look forward to your next segment next week, and hopefully we can get some more golfers come on with you as the season goes along.
Sounds like a lot of fun. I really enjoy being able to see the golfers come in and interview, because it's really something that we didn't have 20 plus years ago when I was in high school, and it would have been neat to be able to see that, because we had so many great golfers, just to give them a forum to talk a little golf. I mean, it's always enjoyable to talk golf, especially here with what talent that we do have here in the Mahoning Valley.
Brian, enjoy your week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
You got it. Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Golf Course, our golf guru, coming in hot on a Wednesday with some great questions. And Maddie Zines gave us a gem. Drivers bring drivers are for show. Irons are for dough. Is that what it was?
Drive for show and putt for dough.
Putt for dough. It was putt. Okay. Drive for dough. Drive for show. I'm messing it up. It's bad. Richie nailed it. Richie, say it again, then we'll go to break.
Drive for show and putt for dough. I think we're gonna have to clip that, and every time there's a big victory, we're gonna have to put that up there.
We're going to do that, and you can hear Maddie Zines' interview on ysnlive.com a little bit later tonight as it goes up on the site. You can also head over to our YouTube page. It'll be over there. While you're over there, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of the video content that we put up on our YouTube page. We'll be right back with talking about our new Baird Brothers of the Valley, Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley nominees next on Ysn's Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Clint. Hi, this is Steve Brissett.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370
to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit wrswealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dog.
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
And welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Richie Giuliano. And Richie, we tail into the last half of the show, and we want to talk about the newest Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley nominees on YSN. These can be found at ysnlive.com/bigdogs. As always, voting is unlimited and ends Sunday at midnight. Let's start with volleyball, which is just at the top of the page for the poll. Grace Hour gets her first nomination from Crestview. She had a double-double last night. She sets, she hits, does a little bit of everything for the Rebels, and she is a nominee. And I think one of the most I want to say underrated, because she's not putting up the stats or the numbers that are eye-popping, but she's underrated because she literally does everything for that team. She digs, she sets when she's in the back row for the 6-2 offense, and when she's not in the back row and she's in the front row, she becomes an outside hitter.
Yeah, I mean, she could really do it all, and that's what makes her a big dog, right? Not a one-dimensional player. I mean, she's still hitting .493 this season, which makes it very special. But, you know, I think for Crestview, she's been a leader. Same with her mom, who's been the head coach there. So I think this family deserves the Big Dog of the Valley nomination. And, you know, I honestly think, looking at this list, Ant, that this is the best volleyball list that we've had all season.
Really?
I do.
So,
yeah.
I mean, this is a bold statement because we had a list with Lauren Pallone and Tara Lytle both on it.
I know.
That voting got really close.
It did, but 1 through 6, it'll be close, I think, because you've got 5 really, really good hitters and 1 really good defensive specialist in libero. So I think it's a great balance. And, you know, I think when I did some research on all these players, every one of these guys, or players, I shouldn't say guys, has contributed in a big way to their team.
Let's go over the next one. This is in no particular order either, so we're just going down the list. Brie Littell from Girard, the second part of that 1-2 punch that the Indians have with Lauren Pallone and Brie Littell, and a lefty, which is something you don't see too often. So she comes with the left-handed swings. I can't say enough about Brie Littell, what she's able to do. I think she's really good at going down the line, which is something that not a lot of outside hitters are geared to do in high school. You see a lot of them fall in love with the cross-court shot. But Brie Littell with that lefty swing, really good at going right down the line, which, you know, a lot of defenses have to adjust to. You've seen her play. I've seen her play. What stuck out to you when you got the chance to see her live?
I think her ability to stay in rhythm, although she's not getting consistent swings like she would like. I mean, Pallone dominates the swings by almost over 100 compared to Littell. But, I think she does a great job of knowing her role and knowing that, hey, we got to draw some attention away from Pallone every swing, and we got to get a secondary arm to get some kills. So, she's not a selfish player, and that's something that stuck out to me. She doesn't get frustrated when she's not getting the touches and swings, and, she keeps her head up, and, she really does a great job of adding some balance to that offense.
I love their offense when they're in the rotation where she's on the right side and Pallone's on the left, because that gives Allie Durkin, their setter, who's a tremendous setter, by the way, senior setter that sets in that now they run a 6-1. They used to run a 6. Now they run a 5-1. Excuse me. They used to run a 6-2. But it gives her two options. She can back set to the right to Littell if she wants, or she can hit the outside pin to Pallone. Either way, they also have a pretty good middle that sneaks under the radar with those two outsides and Ezra Dede that is putting together a pretty solid season for a middle, especially getting hands on balls in the front row of the net on defense. So I think Girard's pretty dangerous. I know they lost to Lakeview, and that was one that they wanted real bad, but they have another matchup with them, and they have plenty of opportunities as the season goes on to kind of sneak back to the top of those power rankings.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's going to be a fun slate for Girard. They're going to play their NEA rival again in Lakeview at some point throughout the season. So they've got plenty of opportunities, and that's a team that definitely has a lot of weapons on the offensive side. And they got some younger players like Bailey Walters, who's the libero there, does a great job of getting that team into system with her serve, receiving passes. So, once their offense is clicking, it's going to be hard to stop.
Really impressed with Bailey, because last year, like I said, she was the second center in that 6-2 offense. She split time with Durkin setting, and Abby Rafferty was the libero last year. Now she's kind of switched her role a little bit. Now, Bailey Rafferty comes in as a defensive specialist, and Bailey Walters is a libero back there. And she was always good at defense. And now I think with Durkin setting all the time, it gives them the ability to get aggressive with their sets and let Durkin, dump it over every now and then to keep defenses off their toes and not let them just focus blockers completely on their outside, because they have to respect at least one blocker to your setter when Durkin's in the front row. So I think it really adds a bonus to Girard. They're able to keep Bailey Walters on the floor as a libero, but then, transition to a 5-1 offense this year.
I agree. And that's what makes them special. And, I was surprised that they lost that match to Lakeview, to be honest, just because seeing them in person, it's like, I don't know how you can beat them.
It was awesome, Rich, because Girard was dominating on the outside. Lakeview didn't have too many answers blocking Pallone or Littell. But then Lakeview responded by dominating right down the middle, because Tara Lytle and Reagan Price combined for 38 kills in that game. Yeah. So it was like one team excels at one thing, the other team excels at another, and it was just who's going to be a little bit more consistent. And on that day, it was one of those nights where Pallone was a little bit off. I think she had like 11 errors total in the match, and Tara Lytle has just been the definition of efficient with her swings this year. So her in the middle, just a little bit more efficient for Lakeview, and I think that's one of the big reasons why they were able to win. All sets were close, so you could argue that all the sets could have gone either way.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's a great matchup that I can't wait to see the second time around in that NE8. And the NE8, it's kind of up for grabs right now with those two teams that are going to have to battle each other for it. So it's a fun conference to look at when you look at Lakeview and Girard, and two of the best teams, not only in that conference, but in the Valley in general. So, a lot of talent coming from Girard and Brie Littell, very deserving of this honor to being nominated for the Big Dogs of the Valley.
Well, I mean, just as a reference, they are 1-3 in the power rankings. So, just a little, if you didn't believe what we were saying, I mean, obviously they're going to play each other again. It will be in Lakeview this time. I believe it's actually next Thursday. So a week from tomorrow, Girard at Lakeview. It's going to be a fun one.
And, moving on a little bit, I think another player on this list that kind of goes unwatched is Badgers' Hannah Betts.
Oh, yeah. And the Badger made their first appearance on the power rankings this week. They're sneakily 7-1 on the season. They're putting together a great year, and she's a big reason why. I think leading the team in kills.
Yeah, I mean, they've been so good. St. John, I didn't realize this, but they've got a really good volleyball program. They're so fun, and they're going to travel all the way up to Ashtabula to take on the Fighting Heralds, and that is tonight at 7 o'clock. So, that should be a good matchup. And, I think for Badger, it's huge to pick up a big dog of the Valley with Hannah Betts, a program this year who's spectacular. They've won 6 sets in a row, and they've swept a total of 6 teams this year. So they've had a very impressive schedule. And, Betts has put up some significant numbers. She leads the team in kills this year. Betts in her 27 sets played, averaging close to 3 kills per set. So pretty good numbers.
I'm excited to see Badger get tested this week tonight, and to see if they can keep that spot in the power rankings and maybe move up a little bit with a big win over, like you said. I know Ashtabula St. John gets a lot of jokes on their football team. It's a struggling program. Volleyball is a completely different story. They are a very good volleyball program, and they'll bring their 6-1 record to that matchup. And obviously Badger, I believe, is 8-1. Did they win last night?
They're 8-1. Yep, they
8-1 now. So when we made those the big dog nominations, they were 7-1. They pick up another win, so another 8-1. So 8-1 versus 6-1 should be a fun one tonight. Here's another one that is a little bit under the radar, but this year I think she's ended more volleys and more sets than anybody on the YSN network, because every time I'm seeing a highlight of Liberty, it's like, all right, here's for the match. Lexi Muck comes up and boom, Lexi Muck ends it. She's one of those go-to hitters that Liberty has when they're in trouble, when they need someone to get a kill. It goes right to Lexi Muck. I know our casual sports guys are familiar with her. Alec Caberna calls her quite a bit. So Lexi Muck is on this list from Liberty. We've had a chance to actually talk with her on Running Point. Me and DJ I got a player profile with her, so you can see that on ysnlive.com. But I think it's another under-the-radar player, which is one of the reasons why this big dogs list is so important to us at YSN. Sometimes it gives some of these players that are putting together really good seasons thrust into the limelight a little bit.
And she's two-dimensional when you look at it. I mean, Muck, who's got 44 total blocks this season. I mean, that's a dominant presence there in the middle. So she's done a great job, and it's been a lot of fun to cover Liberty this year, because without Muck, who knows where that program would be right now.
All right, so Ian O'Brien's brother, which has to be a dummy account, but
it's got to be
talking about Mineral Ridge Volleyball, the he or she or whoever's in this account, we're going to use their clowning or their trolling to talk about Mineral Ridge Volleyball, who is in the power rankings. They're a 5 right now. They're undefeated on the season, and they could win the MVAC. Winning, I'll see them win a district first, and then that region gets really tough in Division 4 with teams like Dalton and Lucas in that region that'll put up a fight. But Mineral Ridge Volleyball got a good chance. Let's continue our Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley nominees. We have the libero from Boardman. You got a chance to see her on Monday. John Chicolo really putting up really good numbers back there. I think one of the best liberos in the area.
Oh, no doubt. Her ability to extend some long rallies, and she plays hard. She plays the right way, always diving on the floor, giving it her all until that final point is ended. And she was really impressive. Great server as well, back behind the line. I think she's a great libero, and she's the only libero on this list for Big Dogs of the Valley in week number 4, and deservingly so. Just the way she plays is the right way, in my opinion.
We don't discriminate against liberos. If you're putting together a great season, we're going to notice you. We're going to put you up. I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to digs, and they just know you as that one girl that forgot her jersey and has to wear the different color. I've actually heard that before. Oh, she must have forgot her jersey. So Chicolo, I think, in my opinion, one of the best liberos in the area, and I think you would say that too. A lot of good ones, for sure. But she's definitely putting together a great season. She's on the list as well. Last but not least, Kaya White from East Liverpool. This is a long time coming. She's a bona fide superstar. Does a little bit of everything for East Liverpool. I think leads them in kills and digs, if I'm not mistaken. A big reason why the Potters are having such a good season.
Yeah, and East Liverpool is putting up some great numbers. They're 8-0 right now. I mean, they're undefeated. They've got a lot of sweeps. They played in that tri-match on Saturday, the 10th. So recently, over the weekend against West Branch and Crestwood, and they handled both teams. And that's one of just 2 losses for the Warriors so far this year, and they swept both 2-0, 2-0. And that's something, if you're not familiar with those tri-matches, you play best of 3 sets, kind of like the JV match. So when you're looking at the schedule, don't be like, oh, why are they only playing 2 sets?
Yeah, East Liverpool now 8-0 off of the sweep of Oak Glen. So And that's a team that everyone kind of went into that game saying, okay, this isn't a test. East Liverpool now. Oakland's legit. They're gonna come in. Let's see how the Potters handle this test. And East Liverpool was like, test handled, check mark, sweep, break out the brooms.
Does West Virginia play more matches than Ohio schools do? Because that was the 16th match of the year for Eau Glen.
I know. I don't really know. They might start earlier. I don't know how that works. I'm not shocker. I'm not privy to. I'm not a knowledge expert for West Virginia volleyball, unfortunately, but could be.
It looks like they're playing a lot of try matches because all I see is Saturday try matches for Eau Glen, which
that's cheating. You're only playing 2-set matches. No, boo.
That's probably the reason East Liverpool took them in straight because they're conditioned to play 3.
Oh, Glenn went to a 3rd set and said, "What do you mean?
This.
What's this?" That does it for our volleyball list. I'll just go over it real quick one more time in case you're just tuning in. Grace Hour from Crestview, Brie Littell from Girard, Lexi Muck from Liberty, Hannah Betts from Badger, Gianna Ticcolo from Boardman, and then Kaya White from East Liverpool are your nominees for the volleyball list. Voting is unlimited and ends Sunday at midnight. Head over to ysnlive.com/bigdogs to cast your vote. Now let's go into the football list, and it starts with Chaz Akoniak, who really had a good game for Struthers and put South Range on alert. Struthers for 6 turnovers for the Raiders, and Chaz is a guy that we've been high on for a while. He not only plays football, he also plays golf for Struthers, and big dog in the best sense of the word. Struthers gets a nominee.
Yeah, I think Akoniak was one of the reasons why South Range had some trouble against Struthers. That was a game that everybody would kind of raise their eyebrows to because they weren't expecting Struthers to compete that way against, South Range, especially at home. And give credit to Akoniak, who we're probably going to have on at some point because he's a first-team All-NEO golf selection as well.
I know, it's like, what's he doing, man?
We might have to get him on at some point for sure.
We definitely do. And when you look at that Struthers team, they lost in overtime in week 3 of the tough one where they went for 2 and missed it. And then, they battled tooth and nail to one of the best teams in the area in South Range, fell just short by 10. I think Akoniak's going to be one of those guys in the locker room that they look to keep them confident and to keep them going the right way, realizing that, yes, we lost. Yes, there are no moral victories. Yes, we left things on the table that we have to fix, but it's not panic mode for Struthers. Like, we are a good football team. I think we proved that to ourselves, and let's just keep on keeping on, keep our eyes on the prize, and they could win out the rest of the season. Who knows? I think all this, after the way they play, if they played the way they did at South Range, every other team in that NE8, I think, is beatable for Struthers.
No doubt. And, Chaz was one of those guys and the big dog of the Valley selection this week that there was a lot of pressure on his shoulders coming in because of what he did last year. He had a tremendous year in 2021. And, he was one of those playmakers on the outside coming in, and he's lived up to the expectation, and he's played really well this season. And, happy for him and happy that he's able to get showcased on this list because without him, where would the Wildcats be at this point in the season?
Plus, you got to love a guy named Chaz.
Yeah,
that's his all-name team. He's on the list for me. For sure. How about this guy? We talk about all the quarterbacks in the area that are doing so good, and we have so many great ones. I think there's bound to be a couple that get lost in the shuffle or under the shadows. Joey Fell for Champion is a tremendous quarterback. Champion with 2 wins in a row now, 1 over Southeast, and then starting off conference play with a win over Newton Falls last week. Joey Fell, a big reason why. If you don't know this kid, you better watch him because he's fun to watch for the flashes.
Yeah, I know. Last year he was close to 1,500 yards. He had 10 touchdowns.
1,000, I believe. 1,000 air, 1,000 rush.
Yeah, he did. And, he was one of the mainstays for that offense and the reason they were able to win 2 games last year because, they were a very inexperienced line a year ago. And now they've gained some experience. They're starting off the season 2-2. I think they proved themselves against Southeast. I know a lot of our picks went the other way for Champion. And, after they beat Southeast, they're like, okay, we're going to jump on this Champion bandwagon. We're going to take them against Newton Falls. And, they beat the Tigers in a close one, 29-24. in a game that almost slipped away. But Joey Fella guy in that last quarter was able to stabilize that offense and, lead them to a first down to clinch it and win the ball game.
We are going to actually talk to Joey Fell on Friday. So if you're a Champion fan, make sure to tune in on Friday's Running Point. We'll have Fell on at 1:30 to talk about the flashes and what he's putting together his season. It should be a fun one. We're also going to be talking to his running back and Nick Vesey back there on Friday as well. So it might be a good day to get out your flash photography. You like what I did there on Friday? It's going to be a fun one. We move on to Jason Lindsay. Valley Christian, he put on a show against United, and you knew someone on that team was going to get a big dog nominee, whether it be Lindsay or Gurley. Either way, they're both putting on some kind of show.
Oh, Lindsay, man, he's averaging like 120 yards a game. That dude's a bulldozer. He's like a Nick Chubb. Once you hit him, he's still going to get 5-6 yards after contact, and that's the type of runner he is. A hard guy. I was able to watch some of the game on Saturday night against United, and that's what stuck out to me. He gets hit, but he doesn't go down, and I think that's the reason that Jay-Sean Lindsay's so tough.
We were talking about this Valley Christian backfield yesterday, and I pointed out that they're big and they're fast, which is a dangerous combo because I saw them against Camel. And say what you will about Camel in their record, their defense, what you can say about them is they're a fast defense. They have a lot of fast guys back there. And I saw Gurley running down the sidelines, and I was like, okay, this guy has an angle on him. Nope. This guy might have an angle. Nope. Those are fast kids that he's out running down the sidelines, and he's huge. He's a man. So if people say that they can't play power football because they're a fast team and they want to run side to side, and no. Those bodies are big enough. I'm sure that they would be more than happy to run between the tackles and knock you over if that's the game that you make them want to play.
And he's just a sophomore. Like, he's got 3 more years left. This guy's going to be a freak by the time he's a senior. He's going to get some D1 offers. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, when your name's Gurley and you're running back, you better be good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a running back name.
Yeah.
Even though it's one that I don't like because he went to that terrible university in Georgia. But hey, it's still a good running back. We move on to the next one. Danny Inglis from the L and the I mixed together on my phone, from Canfield. Richie, obviously, you know a lot about this guy because you cover him. What can you say about him being on this list?
Good. He's fast, man. He's
good.
He's a track star. When he gets to the outside, he's gone. It's so hard to catch up with him. And, not only has he put up some big-time runs on the outside, he is plowing over linebackers. And for his stature, you wouldn't think of him as a power back like a Jay-Sean Lindsay, but he has done just so this year. I mean, he's shown both strength and speed. We saw glimpses of it last year when he took some big plays to the house, but, this year is his year. He had 3 touchdowns against St. Thomas More, and I'll tell you one thing, when they run that little halfback sweep and he gets outside of the tackles, good night. He's gone.
Do you think it's fair to say that with such a polarizing figure like Brock Lowry, guys like Danny get a little bit lost under the radar, and whether it's fair or not, it kind of happens?
Yeah, for sure. I think on the scouting report, on the first couple weeks, there was no attention to number 11 and Danny Inglis, but I think there is now. I think Chaney's going to look at this and say, hey, we're going to have to find a way to contain number 11, even though Brock Lowry is going to be able to put up a show. And, he's going to beat you one way or the other. He's a dual guy. He's able to run. He's able to throw, gets out of the pocket very well and throws on the run with great accuracy. But, that's all set up because Danny Inglis and his threat to run the football, because they're blitzing and then all of a sudden they pull back thinking that they're going to throw. The next thing you know, Inglis, it's a 4-man blitz and he's running down the sideline for a 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah, anytime I see high school teams blitz, I go, run blitz, I should say.
Yeah.
Because when you're run blitzing, you have such a big opportunity to get in the wrong gaps and leave one open. And if the running back picks the right gap, he's gone because you've already committed your linebackers to blitzing. They're lost in the shuffle. And I see that happen anytime Canfield plays. Obviously, you want to kind of run blitz them because they have such a threat with Lowry in the backfield. He can run. And then you have Inglis who can run as well. So you kind of – it's that temptation to run blitz. But when teams do, man, you got to be disciplined when you run blitz. And Canfield will expose you badly if you're not. And it's tough for you don't see a lot of high school teams really, really good at run blitzing. Because it is such a disciplined thing to do.
And I think Cheney's going to watch a lot of film, and they're not going to blitz from the inside in the A and B gaps. They're going to blitz from the outside with some corners, try and contain Inglis and get him to move back up towards midfield. Because, like I said, the ends are doing such a great job that they're allowing him to get to the outside, and he's picking up 8-9 yards of carry. Because once he burns the edge, the only guy that's going to be able to tackle him is a defensive back or a safety, and that's the only guys that have really tackled him this year.
I think Cheney is hoping that they can get penetration with their 4 down linemen and not have to worry about sending extra people.
100%. I think that's going to be a great game on Friday. I know you're going to preview it Thursday and Friday as well. And, Cheney's number 7 in the state. Canfield's number 2 in the state in Division III. So it's going to be a great matchup, and it's going to come down to the linemen. I know everybody's thinking, Cheney's got these athletic guys and a Waller. They got Hewlett. They got Jason Emil Austin, but Canfield's got Lowry and Inglis. It's going to come down to the line, right? I mean, who can push forward, who could run the football is who's going to win this ball game, I think, on Friday night.
And last year, it was all Canfield in that regard. They were just, from the kickoff, the more physical team. I think Cheney is going to maybe even watch that film, even though their team is dramatically different than last year, and say, if we lose, it can't be for this reason. Like, we cannot just be pushed out of the field and be clearly the less physical team on tape. I think that's going to be a big focus this week in practice. Like, if we lose, it better not be because Canfield that physical does.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, the only way that I think Cheney's saying this, if we're going to lose, let Lowry beat us, right?
Let Lowry beat us, right?
Let the Indiana beat us, because we don't want to get manhandled on the line.
Most teams say if we're going to lose, it better not be because their best player beats us.
Yeah.
You're going the opposite way.
I'm going the opposite way because, like you said, last year it was all Canfield on the line, and that's a deflating way to lose the ball game. And push, you're getting beat.
So, okay, you're saying if we lose, it better be because Brock Lowry is making amazing plays.
Yes,
don't go just because we're getting blocked.
Yes.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Touchdowns. He's going to make some great plays.
Right.
Do what he does, and that's one way we're going to lose. But we're not going to get beat up front, and we're not going to let them push us around.
That's going to be tough for a defense because you're playing a guy like Brock or Drew DeShields, or you can name the list of all the great quarterbacks we have. Sometimes you can play defense well, and they just find ways to make plays, and you have to kind of shake that off and just tip your hat and say, made a good play, but we can't get in our heads about it. And for 15, 18-year-old kids, that's got to be kind of tough.
That's the reason that a lot of defenses struggle against Canfield, because Lowry gets out of the pocket, he flings it down near the ground, and they're thinking, I mean, what else can we do?
What in the world?
Like throwing 15-yard darts over the middle, and we're running our best package of the night. Like, what else can we do against this offense? And Canfield's got some great running backs. They've got some great receivers. Your quarterback's great. Your line's great. And there's a lot of expectations this year. Let's be honest. I mean, Chardon, they lost the game last week. It was against a D2 opponent, so a good loss. But, a lot of questions there. Who knows how good Chardon's going to be this year? And that was kind of the team to beat the last couple of years. But, Canfield ranked 2 in the state right now, and they've got the target on their back every single week. So a lot of expectations, a lot of fun surrounding this program. But, before we move on, I kind of want to address something that was in the comments. I don't know if you saw this, but
from Frank Thomas.
Blue Jay Nation, stand up. Jackson Milton will win the MVAC. They got to take care of business here against Lowville this week, but lose to State Power Kirtland. And the
I think everyone in Division 6 might have a chance to lose to Kirtland.
Why are they in Division 6?
I don't know. It's because they have no competitive balance, and because they don't bring in people from outside the school district. So because of that, they're a smaller school that doesn't get any of the help from competitive balance, and they run a good program. They get kids before they go into high school, which is the big thing. They get kids to come into their program in middle school from the neighboring communities, and that doesn't affect your competitive balance.
I was gonna say,
they'll get mentor kids to come in like 7th grade.
Like move?
Yeah. And it's a neighboring school, so it's not a big move. And they don't have guys like coming from around the state. They're not like a recruiting school, but they swallow up a lot of the neighboring football programs in the middle school. I think, I'm not a Kirtland expert, but I think there's a lot of kids that come from like the Minter and all the Lake County schools that are like, I want to play football for Kirtland, but they do it in middle school. They get them in middle school.
They've given up 14 points in 4 games. They've beaten,
and they don't play a Division 6 schedule. I'll tell you that.
They beat 3 Division 3 teams already.
They're already a lock for probably for that 1 seed in the region. I mean, like you can't match that.
They're going to play a Division 2 school in week number 7. Or no, that's week.
Probably kick their butts too.
It's Lakeside.
Ashley Bueller Lake. Yeah, they're going to win that game. I already saw them on tape.
Oh my God.
Let's go into the next 2 because we're running out of time. Yep. Caleb White from Beaver Local. Second straight week we've had a Beaver Local nominee, which is something it's rare. We usually try to stay away from back-to-back weeks, but when a guy has 5 touchdowns and 2 pick sixes, you kind of have to do it. It's almost unavoidable to put Caleb White on this list. He's got to get on.
Yeah, and you kind of feel bad for East Liverpool on their home turf on their opening day in a rivalry, and they just kind of got stomped.
Yeah, I think Beaver Local and Austin Klein said it. They came in. They wanted to be the team that scores first in that field. They wanted to be the team that gets the first win. They were motivated by the fact that it was East Liverpool's debut. They were not going to let East Liverpool have a good day on that field.
They did. They promised.
I think Richie's having a little bit of connection issue. So I'll just go over the last one as we go from Caleb White to Rockland Batura from Crestview. He is the last Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley nominee in football. You can head over once again to ysnlive.com/big dogs to cast your vote for Big Dog of the Valley this week. Real quick, before we get out of here, let's go over what is going to be on the network tonight. We have one volleyball game, which is going to be Crestview at McDonald. That should be a good one. The first non-conference test for Crestview of the season. And then we do have some girls soccer as well as Austintown Fitch goes to Canfield. It'll be Matt Mayer on the call there. Ian O'Brien will be on the call from McDonald. So 2 games on the network tonight. And then we will have Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Power Hour from 3 to 4. It's going to be a fun rest of the day on YSN. Don't miss a minute of it. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find those games. Any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, good show. I think we got a lot on the docket, especially Thursday and Friday. We got close to 7 volleyball games, and then Friday is going to be a juggernaut. We got almost every single game covered for you across the network, except for a couple that we're trying to get right now that are kind of farther away. But overall, I think it's going to be a fun week. And, this is kind of that week for a lot of these teams that we're going to know where they're going to be towards the second half of the season.
All right, Running Point is going to take a 22-hour break. I'll be back tomorrow with DJ Yoakley from 12 to 2. Casual Sports coming up next from 2 to 3.